What's good, everyone? It's your boy Santo G, back at it. You already know, spreading unity, prosperity, and respect. Above all, if you're new here, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button, tap that notification bell. It don't cost you nothing, and it will help out this channel, help me get into the algorithm. So today, I just wanted to continue where I left off in my last story, the getting into the mix, and we'll just start it off there, man. Before anything though, let me shout out my sponsors. Shout out Killer Kush. And I also want to give a shout out to my boy Cali Herbs. Paid by the streets, for the streets. The Killer Kush, you guys could go into their locations. You guys, one of them type of people, you guys like seeing what you're getting. You could go to their locations. My boy Cali Herbs also be doing pop-ups here and there. Get at him on Instagram. And if you're in the Los Angeles area, he will deliver to you, man. So, before anything, I also want to give this tray to somebody. It's a Cali Herbs tray. You see it? It's a Cali Herbs tray with, wait for it, with a Killer Kush 8. That's some of that LA OG. Some fire za, some fire perp. Don't sleep on it. If you guys want to win this tray and this Killer Kush 8, man, all we gotta do is get this video to 500 likes. That's 500 likes, man. 500 likes. Make sure that you guys are subscribed. Make sure you're following my IG. Get at me on IG, and I'll make sure to deliver this personally to one of y'all. Y'all just gotta be in the LA area, man. I can't have no one too far, you know what I'm saying? Let's get it. So, now that we got that out the way, let me just take a little moment, man, to hit this Killer Kush saucepan. Yeah. This is that Killer Kush live rosin. See, it's still smoking. Fire. When it comes to vapes, fire. Bomb taste, don't burn your throat. Nothing but that fire. And I also got, it's not a fat daddy. I haven't smoked all day. I got my juvenile hot pipe. If you guys were wondering, when I was telling about the story, when I got down with the homie Dumbo, boop, 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 for him taking my shoes, and then I thought I was gonna have to get down with him again when he popped his cell door and told me to go in there. He started packing a bow. This is the pipes that I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? This is what we used to smoke out of in juvenile hall. And I'm not gonna lie, I've used it at work. A little sneak and toke. I've used it at work. That's why I keep it inside this little vial. It comes in handy. Hey, if I'm lying, I'm dying. I'll still be using this. No cap. I made it for the video, and then I started looking at it. Hey, it puts in work. You know what I'm saying? No cap. If you work in a warehouse and you don't have a vape, you want to hit something real quick, this works, man. But you gotta get something like this, so that way after you hit it, you just boom, pop it in there, and you good. It don't smell. It keeps it from being all loud. You know what I'm saying? So let me take a little hit, get my mind right, man. Bear with me. I also got a cold brew in the fridge getting cold. I'm gonna see right now, go in there and get it. Alright, yeah. So now let's get into it. So I left off when the homie Scrappy moved me to his bunk. I was gonna move with the homie Chango from Northside Bowling. Shout out to my dog. Shout out to all the homies from Bowling, Baldwin Park, SGV. Shout out my boy Lefty Gunplay and all the homies from the K-Hawk. But yeah, I was supposed to move with the homie from Bowling. And then out of nowhere, I get Garcia, come to the office. I go, what's up? She's like, hey, your boy put in a move for you. Like, you good, right? You good to go over there? Like, where? With so-and-so, you know what I mean? Mendoza. That's the homie's last name. With Mendoza. What? Yeah. Fuck it, yeah. Alright. Go. Now I'm moving in with the homie Scrappy. So, I'm not gonna lie, man. Shout out to my boy Scrappy from the Acres. He got the A on the top of his head. The A's hat, like the A's hat, he has that A on the top of his head for the Acres. You know what I mean? Shout out my dog. But I learned a lot from the homie. You know what I mean? He was a very smart individual. He had been busted. It was, I believe, his like second or third term. He was a 2-striker as well. So this is, at this time, I'm only a 1-striker. He's a 2-striker. So I'm looking at him like, all right, you know, you're an older homie, got out, came back, you know what time it is. And he was plugged in. He was a primo. You know what I mean? Shout out my dog. So, boom. Just watching him, he's teaching me the ropes, everything, you know. And I want to say everything's going smooth. Although we had little hiccups here and there, little cleanups having to get done, but everything was smooth. It wasn't until he got into it with the homie that pretty much had the yard. Over, I already explained it, you know what I mean? They got into it over dope. Right there, none of the homies really had anything going. So the homies, what they were doing is buying in bulk from the norteños, good deals at damn near street prices, and then they were in return selling it to the homies or the whites, whoever, you know what I mean? But long story short, the homies didn't have a route, so they were getting the stuff from the northerners. The homie on the yard got mad that my bunkie was going straight to the northerners and not going to him. So they got into it over that on the yard. And before we went out there, I told my bunkie, I was like, look, fool, you know that if you fly them, homie, and you guys don't get caught, you don't take them to the back, you know that you're not gonna be able to stay, bro. Like, from everything you're telling me, the way things are, everything that I'm seeing, the way I've been taught, bro, like, I don't see you getting away from that, you know? It's a difference if he would have been like, hey, I want to get down and let's go inside the building, in the bathroom, in the cut where nobody's looking. That's different. Versus in the middle of the yard, you have all the races looking at you, you have all the other factions and cars looking at it. Like, that's a big sign of weakness on our part. You know what I'm saying? So, boom, long story short, he goes out there. He gets at the homie. Boop, boop, boop. They start getting down. It's to the point that they end up gassed out, tired, like catching brakes, and then still going at it again. And the Juras are right there, they're looking. But it's just a one-on-one, so they ain't trying to do no paperwork. And a lot of these COs, I'm not gonna lie, man, a lot of these COs in SATF were out of shape. I'm talking about out of shape. I don't even know how they passed the physical. Either they passed it a lot of years before and that's after, or what, but a lot of them were out of shape, couldn't even run. So they were facing this way, they just did one of these, like swinging their keys, acting like they don't see shit. If I'm lying, I'm dying, man. But they seen it, still kept going, boop, boop, boop. And I remember there was a homie from Chino Centers. There was like 2-3 homies that hopped up. And I told them to kick it. They were like, hey, aren't we supposed to back up the homie that has the yard, right? And because, I'm not gonna lie, man, me and my bunkie had a lot of influence there. Me personally, I had a lot of influence on that yard. There wasn't a lot of homies there due to the fact that there were mainly just people coming from the streets. So homies coming from higher level yards, it's rare that they land there, you know what I mean? So it was kind of a free roam. So people knew us. So I remember the homie from Chino Sinners hopped up. You know what I mean? He actually had a building for me at the end. Once the whole chaos ended up happening and the homie that had the yard ended up leaving, my bunkie ended up leaving, I was pretty much overseeing everything, and I was the one who was checking up on everything, you know? So I just remember I told him, like, kick it, you know? Like, just let it play out, let it play out. I'm thinking that they're gonna fucking, boom, go to the back. But nah, it got to the point where they both just stopped. My bunkie went inside the building and I stayed outside, you know? Because I'm his ears. I'm his eyes and I'm his ears. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, the way I was brought is, you know what I mean? Like, you always got your bunkie's back. So I stayed there just listening, overseeing everything, and sure enough, he's like, hey, he got to go, you know? And he ended up getting some people to pretty much move on my bunkie. And my bunkie ended up in F yard. So then couple months later, once all that ended up happening with me and I ended up getting moved, I ended up with my bunkie on F yard, and we end up bunkies again on F yard, you know? But I'm getting ahead now. So that happens. My bunkie and the homie that has the yard get down on the yard. Boop, 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 boop. Boom, nothing happens. My bunkie goes back, so now this fool calls my bunkie out. Tells me, hey, go call him out. When I go call him out, when my bunkie's walking out, two homies jumped on him. He already had it ready to go, like. So now, that happens. We go out to the yard, I want to say like a couple weeks go by, and then one of the homies ends up getting into it with a white boy. And ends up getting into it with an older white boy. And there's like 2-3 homies pack out this wood. So now it creates a whole big old thing. And it turns out that the wood flighted the homie, and the homies just helped the homie out and packed them up. So we were like, look, you guys were good. You guys did what you were supposed to, you know what I mean? Salute. If anything, the Woods ended up removing that white boy. They ended up moving on him. He went to the back. So now he's gone. He's out the picture. Well, the homie that ended up getting into it with that white boy, we ended up finding out that it was over dope. So, off tops, that homie that got into it with the white boy, like, we would rarely see him at yard, anything like that, but he was on C status, so he was only able to go out of yard, like, I think it was from 3 to 4 or 2 to 3. It's only the last hour. So he does that, and we end up having like a little sit down, talking to other people in the buildings, just asking them like, hey, who's coming out, who are you having problems with, you know what I'm saying, who's programming, who's not, so on and so forth. So they end up saying, oh boy, as a matter of fact, his name was Machine. It was the homie Machine from Moreno Valley or somewhere out in the IE. But I just remember it was Machina, it was Machine. And we ended up sending the homie from T-Flats to go talk to him. Like, hey, go talk to him, let him know to start coming out to yard, so on and so forth. Start programming, you know what I mean? Like, he's been getting away with it this far, but look, it's under new management. Tell him to just start programming, you know? We had switched up who was in each building, and we had to just assign the homie from T-Flats to that building. So he goes in there, but he goes in there and scares him. He tells him like, hey, the homie said that if you don't shape up, you're gonna get shipped out pretty much. Like, you're gonna be the next one to get boop, bow, bow, bow. So we don't know that he told them that. The next day, we go out to yard. And as soon as I go out to yard, I just see all of that building where the homie Machine was at, that whole building out there. I didn't know that he had that whole building on one for like 3-4 days. So the homie goes in there scaring him, and now he's saying that, so it was just like, what? Like, it was a trick, you know what I mean? So I go out. I go up to the homie from T-Flats. I'm like, hey, G, what's up? He's like, hey, that fool's tripping, bro. I'm like, what? What you mean? He's like, that fool's tripping, fool. Like, what? He's like, yeah, what you tell him, bro? Like, what you mean he's tripping? And then he's like, yeah, I told him that if you guys, that if he didn't come out to yard and all that, that he was gonna get poop up. He was gonna be next. What? Like, my boy, why the fuck did you tell him that, homie? All you were supposed to tell him was the program, homie. He was like, huh? Like, my boy, what we talked was to stay here. You were just supposed to go tell the people that you needed to tell that we're not going out to yard, that we're not programming, to just go tell them, hey, look, we under new management. You need to start going out. You need to start programming. Simple that. Why did you have to tell them, oh, if he don't do this? So, man, I'm like, fuck. And then that, when I'm talking to him, I look and I see him going up to the homie that has the yard. Next thing you know, boop, 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 they packing him out. My homeboy Green Eyes, shout out my boy Green Eyes from Paxton. You know what I mean? Anybody knows my homeboy Green Eyes from Paxton, man? Shout out my boy. So I just see him take off. And I see him going at it with the homie Villain. So I just run up behind Villain. Boop, boop. Turns around. My homeboy Green Eyes runs. He sees the other homie. Shout out my boy Pelon from Dogtown. Short little homie, but hey, my boy had heart. He was in the middle of the yard. I just, from the corner of my eye, see him run. I look, I see him going to back up the homie Pelon, because I'm not gonna lie, the homie Pelon was laid out. Like, fools were on him. So boom, he goes there. Now I'm right here. I'm squaring off with Villain. Next thing you know, I see fucking squad coming from this side, from that side, from that side, just everywhere. I'm talking about, I don't know if they were jumping fences or what, but they were coming from like all different sides that I didn't even know that there was doors there, you know? So I just looked, and if I would have ran to the middle of the yard, by the time I run there, me and squad would have been running straight to squad pretty much, you know what I'm saying? So I just see everything. I'm not gonna lie, everything was like in slow motion. I went from squaring up with this fool to I don't know what he seen. He seen something from the corner of his eye. I don't know, probably his boy needed help or something. Shout out to homie Villain from Orange County. You know what I mean? But boom, he runs. Just seeing everything slowly, seeing squad. Just like, I seen some people by the pull-up bars. I just went and laid down with them. Like, I just blended in. Like, all right, fuck it, cool. So they end up taking everybody. And me and another homie are the only ones that stayed from that. And I remember there was even another homie from Rockwood. I forget what they call it. Big, tall homie from Rockwood. If you know who you are, shout out to you. But I even remember after I like squared off with Villain, when I was going to get down by the people with the pull-up bars, he was walking laps. And when he see me going over there, he went back and was like, he thought I was gonna rush him because he was in that building, or I don't know why, but he thought that I was going towards him. I remember he backed up, like squaring up, and I was like, hey, my boy, like, nah, like, got down, like, kick it. Shout out to, it was an older homie with glasses, tall, from Rockwood, you know what I mean? I don't remember the homie's name, but so all that happens. Boom, they end up taking him. So then next thing you know, I want to say like another week goes by, and that removal happens with the homie Nasty from Oildale. Nasty and Jason from Oildale. I guess the white boy that they had removed went to the back and knew people from C Yard, because he was an older cat and he was a lifer. He had just been down a long time and his points dropped. So he was plugged in and he kept writing to people and all that, and he wrote to the right person to where he was able to get backing, and they moved on Nasty and Jason from Oildale. Whoever made that call, which was them, had them removed for making that call. Because he was like, I guess he felt like they should have had his back instead of the homie's back type. I don't know, but that's how politics work, you know what I mean? So then they end up moving on him, and he ends up getting helicopter landing on the yard and all that, because the first hit, his head, boom, just hit the ground, and he was getting stomped out, just beat nasty. I heard it on the radio. They said that he was DOA, man. So, you know what I mean? Just wanted to tell those stories. That way you guys could see how all the stories connect. All these stories that I've been throwing out here and there, like little stories, now that I'm telling the story from beginning to end, you guys are able to see how it all connects. You know what I mean? And all this happened like within a matter of a couple of months. And I want to say probably like another couple of months ended up going by, and then all that ended up happening with my boy Chango, where they moved on him. The homie got into it with him. It was the homie Seco from Eastside Bowling got into it with the homie Chango from Northside Bowling, but he just didn't like him because the Northside and the Eastside don't get along, and he was using that street tip. And Seco was actually a primo, and he knew people, but he was ruthless. It's to the point where I forget what was happening. I think somebody got boo-bopped in the bathroom upstairs. If I can remember right, yeah, that's what it was. This was when the homie Chivo from Lennox ended up landing there, and I ended up helping him, and he did a boo-bop for me. They were doing that boo-bop in the top shower in B-Pot. That's where the homie Chango was, in the top, in the middle. So they were boo-bopping somebody in the shower, and the Hudas ran in, and the homie had a fierro on him, so he tried to run and hand it off to the homie Chango, because the homie Chango was sitting on his bunk watching TV, and the homie told him Chales. He told him Chales, like Chales, you know, like the fuck. He's a lifer, 3-striker. He was trying to fight his appeal, and it was on some shit where I wouldn't doubt it if my boy's home right now, you know. He just got caught with a gun and dope, and they gave him a 3rd strike over something non-violent. That's why he was just trying to like keep his hands clean, because he knew he was going home. Wouldn't doubt it if my boy's home right now. But he told him Chales. So then old boy got mad, and he went and talked to the boys and pretty much said he had to go because he refused helping another homie. I don't know how he worded it, but that's how it is on any of those yards. If they don't like you, all they gotta do is make up some bullshit, say you're a threat, or say this, say that, and it's their word versus yours. If they're plugged in more than you are, sad to say, but sometimes that's how it happens. But that's when they moved on the homie Chango, you know what I mean? I'm gonna end it off here though. I'm gonna pick up where I left off on the next one. I just don't want to make it too over, because then it's not gonna upload properly. It's gonna take forever, man. I appreciate you guys rocking with me this far. This is pretty much just putting all the stories together and just saying it all in one from beginning to the end. I see you guys like that more, and I'm able to shoot a longer video because I'm just going and going and going, you know what I mean? As I'm going, I'm remembering stuff too, so y'all bear with me if I'm a little sporadical all over the place, you know what I'm saying? Shout out Killer Kush, and more importantly, shout out Cali Herbs. And like I said, man, if y'all want to win a tray and a free aid of some of that Bomb Killer Kush, a Cali Herbs tray, get this video to 500 likes. It gets over thousands of views, but the likes not even 100, man. Come on now. If y'all watching this, get this video to 500 likes. Also, you gotta be subscribed, and you gotta follow me on IG. Screenshot it, send me proof to my IG, and I'm gonna pick one winner to deliver this to personally. Just know I will be filming when I deliver it, so if you don't want to be filmed, don't answer, because I'm gonna be filming it. Let's get it, y'all.